Is Australia preparing for war? Maybe we are in order to help prevent a large-scale conflict. As the Romans used to say, if you want peace, prepare for war. Australia is undertaking a large-scale military build-up, investing in the most cutting-edge technology in order to maximise our relatively small population whilst defending a large island mass. You've probably heard about the nuclear-powered submarines that Australia is purchasing, and we'll have a chat about those, but today I wanted to look at the 9 largest defence projects in Australia. I'm Mel Pikos, and today we're talking tactics. As I've said in previous videos, it's tough to find accurate numbers for the actual cost of some of these projects, especially with cost blowouts, inflation, and different media outlets reporting different numbers, but we've done our best to find accurate price tags for these projects. Let's get into it. The Arafura class offshore patrol vessels, $3.6 billion. The Arafura class is a class of offshore patrol boats and being built to replace 26 vessels for the Royal Australian Navy. The initial order was for 20 offshore combat vessels, and they would feature a modular mission payload system, which means that they could be configured to fulfill specific roles such as border patrol, mine warfare, or hydrographic surveys. In 2013, the initial order of 20 boats was reduced to 12, then increased again to 14 when further mine countermeasure variants were introduced. But in 2024, with 6 vessels under construction, the rest of the vessels were cancelled due to the vessels being deemed as an inefficient use of resources for civil maritime security operations and does not possess the survivability and self-defense systems to contribute to a surface combatant mission. The vessels reportedly cost $300 million each. So for the reduced number of vessels being constructed, the total cost might be closer to around about $1.8 billion, down from the initial $3.6 billion cost for 12 ships. The first of these vessels, the HMAS Arafura, was planned to enter service in 2022, but as of yet, it's yet to be commissioned. Northern Bases Bolstering, $3.8 billion. The Albanese Labor government has announced a $3.8 billion investment over the next 4 years to enhance Australia's northern bases, aligning with priorities identified in response to the Defence Strategic Review. The upgrades focus on optimising the Australian Defence Force's capabilities for littoral operations in the north, that is, military operations in or near coastal waters. Key enhancements include $2 billion for critical air bases stretching from RAF Base Learmonth through Coco's Keeling Islands, as well as air bases in the Northern Territory and Northern Queensland. $1 billion for upgrades to land and joint estate capabilities. $600 million in maritime estate investments, including HMAS Coonawarra, HMAS Cairns, and the Harold E. Holt Naval Communications Station. And an additional $200 million towards the acceleration of additional projects. The project will include runway and apron capacity upgrades, fuel supply improvements, and accommodation enhancements across northern air bases. It also includes major training area upgrades in the Northern Territory and improvements at Robertson Barracks in Darwin and Laverack Barracks in Townsville are also planned. This investment aims to modernise defence infrastructure and capabilities and create opportunities for defence industry growth and job creation in Northern Australia. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence Richard Marles emphasised the significance of these bases for Australia's projection capabilities, highlighting the importance of effective infrastructure for defence operations. The funding for Northern Australia is part of a total of $19 billion being spent by the federal government to implement the recommendations of the Defence Strategic Review released in 2023. Apache Helicopters, $4.2 billion. Australia has made a deal with Boeing to purchase 29 AH-64E Apache Guardian attack helicopters for the Australian Army. The Apaches were chosen over the Bell Vipers and are to replace the Tiger armed reconnaissance helicopters, which first came into use in Australia in 2004. The Apache helicopters will be equipped with some of the most advanced technologies, sensors, and equipment, making them one of the most formidable helicopters for the Australian Defence Force. In addition to the purchase of the helicopters, Australian suppliers will be included in Boeing's supply chain to construct the machines and will set a foundation for long-term Australian industry support to the Apache program, enabling the growth of our rotary wing industry and embedding Australian companies in global supply chains. The 29 choppers are expected to be delivered starting from late 2025, and the $4.2 billion purchase will make Australia the 18th Apache customer, according to Boeing. Boxer combat reconnaissance vehicles, $5.6 billion. The Australian Army's armoured fighting vehicle capability will be modernised through the procurement of 211 Boxer combat reconnaissance vehicles, otherwise known as CRVs. These vehicles, to be delivered by Rheinmetall Defence Australia, will replace the Australian light armoured vehicles and enhance the safety, security and protection of Australian troops. The Boxer CRVs will operate in various environments from coastal to complex urban settings, providing high levels of protection, firepower and mobility for a range of operations. The majority of the vehicles will be built and assembled in Australia, and delivery is divided into two blocks. Block 1 has already been delivered and is in use by the Army, and Block 2 is still in the design and testing phases. According to the Australian Financial Review, the project was commissioned in 2018 with a budget initially set at $4 billion, but that has since increased to $5.6 billion. Delivery is still expected to be mid-2027. Collins-class submarines, LOTE works, $6.4 billion. Australia's Collins-class submarine fleet, renowned as one of the world's most capable conventional submarine forces, is set to undergo LOTE works, life of type extension works, at the Osborne shipyard in South Australia. The LOTE works will include the replacement of the propulsion systems, diesel engines, generators, and power conversion and distribution systems. There will also be an upgrade of the cooling systems and integration of the new equipment into the existing command and control systems across all 6 submarines. This extension aims to maintain operational capabilities and availability of the Collins-class subs well into the 2040s, which will facilitate the transition to Australia's future nuclear-powered submarines. The first LOTE is scheduled for the HMAS Farncombe in 2026, and the budget is expected to range from $4.3 billion to $6.4 billion. HMAS Stirling base expansion, $8 billion. Western Australia is set to become the home to Australia's nuclear-powered submarines, following an $8 billion expansion of Perth's naval base, HMAS Stirling. As part of the AUKUS partnership, US Virginia-class submarines will be stationed at HMAS Stirling from the early 2030s, with rotations of US and UK submarines expected from 2027. This expansion is hailed as the biggest industrial undertaking in Australia's history by Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers, creating around 3,000 jobs initially and sustaining 500 direct jobs from 2027 to 2032. The investment will include upgrades to wharves, maintenance facilities, training and logistical capacity at HMAS Stirling, preparing the base for hosting the international rotations and Australia's own nuclear-propelled submarines in the future. The overall program is expected to span a decade, with an initial $1 billion investment over the next 4 years. F-35A Lightning II fighter jets, $16.4 billion. The F-35A Lightning II is Australia's first 5th generation air combat capability designed to meet current and emerging threats with advanced technology, and they were intended to replace Australia's ageing Hornet fighters and F-111 bombers. Equipped with sensors for rapid data gathering and sharing, it combines supersonic flight with stealth features, exceptional agility, and high survivability. Key features include a low observable design, internal weapons carriage, advanced radar and sensors, and versatile weapon employment capabilities. Australia committed to purchase 72 F-35A aircraft all the way back in 2002. But development ran late and flying operations were only approved in 2015, and the first aircraft entered Australian service in 2018. The initial price tag for these 72 jets was $14.2 billion, but that has increased to $16.5 billion. Despite these challenges, the necessity of maintaining an air force with fighter jets remains unquestionable. According to Steve Over, Lockheed Martin's F-35 Business Development Director, the RAAF has taken delivery of 60 F-35A models so far and should have received its final lot of 12 by the end of calendar year 2023, although I haven't personally found online whether that has actually happened. Hunter-class frigates, $45 billion. The Australian government signed a contract with BAE Systems Maritime Australia in December 2018 to build 9 Hunter-class frigates at a cost of around $45 billion. These frigates are designed to hunt submarines and conduct patrols in the Pacific and South China Sea. They will be the Navy's biggest ships and are based on the UK's Type 26 global combat ship, but modified to meet Australia's unique requirements. The program includes the integration of advanced systems such as the Aegis Combat Management System and Australian-designed radar, and supports our local suppliers. The Navy badly needs new frigates. These vessels will replace the 8 Anzac-class frigates currently in operation, but the Defence Strategic Review suggests arming warships with more missiles, casting some doubt on the capability of the undergunned Hunter-class frigates. The multi-billion-dollar program aims to enhance the Australian Defence Force's anti-submarine capabilities and sustain naval shipbuilding, securing jobs and investing in our local defence industry. Initial operating capability for the first ship to be named HMAS Flinders is expected by 2031. AUKUS nuclear submarines, $368 billion. In March 2023, Prime Minister Albanese, together with US President Joe Biden and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, announced the optimal pathway for Australia's acquisition of conventionally armed, nuclear-powered submarines. This significant move positions Australia among only 7 nations to operate nuclear-powered submarines and represents a monumental leap in our defence capabilities. The acquisition of these subs aims to strengthen Australia's capacity to defend its national interests and contribute to security and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. The construction of the next generation nuclear-powered submarines, known as an SSN AUKUS, will incorporate Australian, US and UK technologies. The rollout of submarines will begin in the late 2030s, with Australia acquiring its first submarine in the early 2040s, and the total price tag being somewhere in the realm of $368 billion over the next 20-30 years. The pathway also involves skills development and training for Australian submariners, increased cooperation with the UK and US navies, and infrastructure investments in South Australia and Western Australia, such as the previously mentioned upgrade of the HMAS Stirling base in WA. The project is expected to create thousands of jobs and generate significant economic benefits. The acquisition aims to address future strategic challenges and contribute to regional stability, peace and security. So what do you think? Is Australia spending too much on defence, given that we aren't involved in any major conflicts at the moment? Or is now the time to shore up our defences to make sure we aren't caught flat-footed if something happens? I'd love to know what you think in the comments section down below, and whether you think we're spending our money in the right projects. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. That's it for today. I'm Mel Pikos, and we've been talking tactics.